you to talk about it. This is a place for conversation of inspiration and sometimes even education. And I want to thank you for joining us tonight. As I said, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever part of the country you're in. We are here to talk about this month. We're talking about fathers, elevating and celebrating our fathers. We have Father's Day coming up. Just recently, I celebrated my 62nd birthday, and on that same day, had my father been alive, it would have been his 89th birthday. And so I tell people, because we share the same birthday, I'm the best birthday present my father ever had. And so we're here to celebrate and elevate fathers. This program is a pro-daddy program. And so let me give my disclaimer. I know there are some deadbeat dads that aren't doing what they should do, but we're not here to talk about them. I know there's some single mothers that are killing the game, that are doing what they're supposed to do. We're not here to talk about them. Because we elevate one group of people doesn't mean we're negating anybody else. And so this is a pro-daddy show. That's what we're here to do, okay? And so we want to celebrate, elevate, and encourage other fathers. And to help me do that tonight, we've got some powerful women here with us. One young lady, I've known her mostly all of her life. She's a nurse. She's going to be a great guest tonight, Miss Christian Irvin. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well, and I want to say thank you for being with us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. And this next young lady, Dr. Jackie Sapp, we've known each other most of our lives. We've known each other since the 10th grade at the greatest high school in the world, Dorsey D. House. Dr. Jackie Sapp, how are you, Jackie?
I am great. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
I am appreciative that you were able to be with us. And the next young lady, I have literally known her entire life. She's an intelligent businesswoman, and also she's my granddaughter, Miss Crystal C. Scott. How you doing, Princess?
I'm good. How are you? You gave me my middle initial. You just out here giving my whole name.
When I was practicing the intro today, I was doing the whole name. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. She loves me, but she might be upset with me for that one. So I'm not going to do that. I want to say thank you to you ladies for being with us today. And this show about fathers is done to promote and lift up fathers, because oftentimes fathers that look like me don't get a lot of props. And it's important that we do, because I believe there are so many fathers that are doing the right thing, and not that. And like I used to tell Crystal's father, my son, that, you don't get a parade for doing what you're supposed to do, not looking for that, but at least get some acknowledgement, And so that's what we're here to do tonight. We're here to lift up daddies. And so tonight we're focusing on daughters and their daddies. And so we are glad that you are with us and want to do this to encourage, to strengthen. And we're going to jump right in this, because this is a conversation of inspiration. That's what we do on this show, and sometimes education. I want to ask you, ladies, I'm asking each of you this question. I'm going to start with you, Christian. From your perspective, why do daughters need their fathers in their lives? And I ask this to help. There's some guys who may be in a struggle because the mother and and him aren't together, and sometimes it's trouble, or some guys are just not stepping up to the plate, but it's really necessary. So I want you to let us know, help some fathers, and then from your perspective, why is it so important that daughters have daddies in their life? Ms. Christian.
Well, I would say from my perspective, I would say that my father for me has been a great guide in the world in many ways. And most people would think just with men, and that's not particularly all the way, that's it. It would be more so. My father he's motivating for me. So I see him, like I tell people all the time, like when I was little, we lived in Compton, but we didn't know we lived in Compton. You know what I mean? Because
right.
It was like, we didn't always have the best of everything, but he did everything he could to make us smile, to make us happy, to make us comfortable with where we were. And he always talked about more and having more and doing more. And there was just no limits to the things that he would do for us. And so with that, I often, I couldn't even say now, being almost 35 years old, it's a struggle for me even with dating, because I'm like, what I had growing up and what you trying to offer me ain't matching up. So this ain't gonna work for us. But
it does make it hard for fellas.
And he really does. But I respect him for that, because he puts me in a category of women, and not to say that I'm better than anyone, but he puts me in a category of women that, I, not even more so financially, but mentally, I'm looking for something different. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not looking for the average. I don't want you to bring me your leftovers. I want you to bring me your A game. And so for me, that's what my father did for me.
Okay. That's why it's important. Okay. Like you said a guide and motivating. I like that. Right. I like that. Dr. Jackie, same question. Why do fathers, from your perspective, and I appreciate, I'm interrupting myself, I appreciate that we have women from different, genres. We have somebody from the Parliament Funkadelic genre, somebody from the Jodeci genre, and Princess, I don't even know what y'all listen to.
It's all good.
So, we got somebody from every genre. So, Dr. Jackie, same question. From your perspective, why do daughters need their fathers in their life?
Oh my gosh. And thinking about even coming on the show, I was thinking, how do I talk about my dad and try to limit it to a certain amount of time? My dad did pass away about 5 years ago, but he is so strong of an influence in my heart and in my motivations, in my mind, emotionally, spiritually. Everything about me is about my dad. I've learned that a father's love and acceptance of their daughter, manifesting itself in praise and support, it automatically equals higher confidence and a higher self-esteem. And I know that young women today, I'm in the education system, are bombarded with so many messages like, you're not good enough, you're not cute enough, you're not light enough, you're too dark, all these issues are coming up perpetually in the media and social media, which is crazy strong influence, as well as just the peers, especially at the school level, whether you're in high school, college, even junior high. And so it starts at home, knowing who you are and knowing where your roots are. I love what Christian was talking about. She was from Compton, didn't know it, didn't matter. She could have been on the moon because her family was strong enough that she knew who she was and she knew what she has. And that is precious. Well said. Growing up, I have a unusual situation. I won't take a lot of time, but my parents were divorced when I was 18 months old. So I didn't consciously physically grow up with my dad until I was 13 years old, when my mom sent me from Cleveland, Ohio to live with him, thinking I would have a better life with him. And it was a good life, when I got here, no doubt about it. So I knew him. He was like a concept of someone who lived somewhere far away where Michael Jackson lived, and everybody went to Disneyland. I mean, it was like, when you're in Ohio, like LA is Hollywood, right? And so I just thought, okay, I'm gonna marry Michael Jackson when I get out there. I mean, I had it all planned, right? And, but what turned out that I didn't expect is that I got to know my dad on a very real level, and we kept that emotional, intimate connection. And I say intimate with the highest level of respect. I mean, walking hand in hand. He would take me to his favorite restaurant called Tony's on the Pier. Anybody who has grandparents, Tony's on the Pier, in Redondo Beach. And we'd hold hands and we would sing and we would do things like that. And that carried on until the time turned around when I was taking care of him. And he instilled in me and that I was something special. Super. He said, you're very intelligent. You're going to go a long way, and just always positive messages. So I'll stop there. But the love and acceptance, unconditional love and acceptance from your dad paves the way for an amazing future for a young woman.
Something special. I like the way you said that. Princess, same question. Her name is Crystal, everybody, but she's my princess. So I'm going to try to be professional, but I've been calling her that since she was born. So I'm going to try to be professional, and I might call her Crystal. I'm going to try. But She ain't even expecting me to get there. So anyway, from your perspective, why do daughters need their fathers in their life? I like what the other lady said. Confidence and show you that you're special. That's good. That's good. So, Princess, what is your perspective?
For me, my father has been reassurance. Like, that's always what he's equal to me. Like, I've always had, like, no matter what anybody said to me, my mama, my sister, my teachers, if my daddy didn't say it, I didn't care. It didn't count. Like, I can't tell you the number of times my mother has tried to get me to change the way I dress. I like the way I dress.
Right.
My dad had one conversation with me about how it's not professional, and now I got a whole new wardrobe. Because when he said it, it's not that when my mom said it, it doesn't hold weight, but when he said it, I've always known my daddy is here for me no matter what. I don't have to worry about him playing games. I don't have to worry about, is he looking out for my best interests? Like, that is never something that I've had to question. And that's reassurance at every step of the way. When I did listen, when I didn't listen, when I lived with him, when I was living with my mama, I knew he was always a phone call away. And if I needed something, he would be there, whether it was a shoulder to cry on or some new cleats because my feet got bigger, or I didn't do my homework, so now I'm 3 weeks behind. No matter what it was, I always knew that my dad had me. And stepping forward into adulthood, that level of reassurance has led me to make some decisions and take some opportunities that I wouldn't have taken on my own. Because, like, I recently just finished a project that with NASA that not just me, but like a team of people that I worked with. We just finished doing a project with NASA. That was something my dad told me to go out for. Like, I got the invitation, and my first thought was, oh, they're not going to pick me. They're not going to. He was like, if you don't just shut up and apply, because they definitely not going to pick you if you don't apply. Right. And I applied, and I got accepted. And that reassurance, that level of, you know what? He said it, so I'm going to do it. It's something that I probably wouldn't have without him, because he's the only one who's stuck by me and not for a, oh, I have to do this, or this is my job. It's just like, it's me and you. Come on, get it together. It's me and you. Come on, let's go. Let's get up. Let's keep going. Let's keep moving forward. Let's keep getting better. Don't sit. He's made sure that I haven't, because I used to struggle with depression and anxiety, and he was the one that was like, no, you're not staying in the bed today. You're going to get up. You're going to get dressed. You're going to go out. You're going to go see the sunlight. You're going to go get a job. You're going to go do something. Right. When I didn't get accepted into schools, he was the one who was like, okay, that's it. So you didn't get accepted. Try again. You got more classes to take. You got another semester. You keep going. You don't just give up because it didn't work. And that level of determination and grit is solely relied on my dad for. Because when I don't have the strength, he's the one who gives me that strength.
Right. Wow. I love that. I love that. And so fathers that are listening, special. Dr. Jackie said her father made her feel special. Christian said confidence. And Crystal said reassurance. So daddies, you give those things to your daughters when they're young, and even when they're adults, you give those things. And so we wanted to get those perspectives, because there's other daddies out there that may be struggling. Okay, she really don't need me. Yes, she does. She's 8. She's 18. She needs you. Just that perspective. And so appreciate that. I want to ask each of you a specific question. I'm going to start with you, Dr. Jackie. In what area has your father been or had the greatest influence, and what has that done for you? What area has your father been the greatest influence? What area of your life, and how does that help you? What has that done for you?
It's probably an easy answer. There's been several areas, but the main area is actually with my education. My father was an educator, high school principal, college professor. He received his doctorate degree from USC, and I wanted so much to emulate him in every possible way. I mean, my dad would tell me, Jackie, get your education, because that's something that no one can ever take away from you.
Right.
And I believe that. And I adopted that. And I lived with that. And I live by that even today. And so that was the impetus for me actually getting my doctorate degree and going into administration as well. And so that was probably the highest thing, because when my dad was coming up, if you had education as a Black person, you could actually move up. I'm not saying it's the same way right now, because there's other ways to be successful, and young people are discovering that all the time. So whereas I know it was right for me, there's other ways now that you can still be successful. If college isn't for you, it doesn't mean you have to go. But it is a wonderful thing to have that piece of paper that says, I can do something and I can do this. And I'm grateful for my dad for that. There's research that shows that a father's involvement in your academic program really supports their young woman, their young daughter in a major way. Involvement such as maybe volunteering or being like a dad on campus, a safety dad or something, or at least providing the tools for their success, making sure they have their electronics, their laptops and, calculators and things like that, making sure that they're very present. I think our schools need to know that our girls have a dad.
Right.
And in elementary school, they have like father-daughter dances sometimes and things like that. But that kind of goes away a little bit in junior and senior high school. And of course, college, it just doesn't come up.
Right.
I think it's very important. When I first became a teacher, you have something called open house. And that's a big deal. It's like you put on your best dress and you make sure the room is perfect. And I was so nervous. I was at Marina Del Rey Junior High School, 1982. And the first person that walked in my room was my dad, just to tell me that I looked good, the room looks good, you're going to do a great job. And I'll never forget that moment. He didn't have a child there except the teacher, but things like that, being there to support you in academics can take you a long way. So just one area I wanted to talk about, education.
That's great. That's great. If you just joined us, I'm Dwayne Shigg, and we're here to talk about it. We're talking about daughters and their daddies. This month, we're focusing on fathers, celebrating and elevating, and that's what we do on Talk About It. So we thank you for being with us. Want to ask you, Princess, the question. Your father you played soccer, and your father
many sports, but yes, I did play that one.
So, soccer, water polo, and
rugby, softball.
Rugby. I wasn't there for the rugby because I probably wouldn't have been too good with them people knocking you down and like that. But I digress because I can't go out chasing 8-year-old girls because they knocked my princess down. But anyway, I told you I'm trying to stay professional. You're not helping me, Princess.
I'm sorry. I was offended when you said they was knocking me down.
They were attempting to. That's what I meant to say. But at specifically the soccer games, because I made most of those, your father was there all the time. And so being present, talk about how that helped you and what it did for you, the fact that he was present, because a lot of times, guys think, okay, I'll buy her this, I'll buy him that, but presence, just being there. Because when I, like you, Dr. Jackie, my parents were separate. My parents were divorced. And I tell people my father wasn't in my house, but he was in my life.
Amen.
And so just being with him. And for a while, my father had a gambling problem and he'd like to go to the track. And I didn't know that was a problem because he made it fun. He took us to the track with him. I'm looking at the horses. And I hear old men yelling, "Come on, Shoemaker." I'm thinking that's the name of the horse. That's not the jockey's name because I didn't know who Willie Shoemaker was. I'm just spending time with Daddy and I'm having fun. He losing money, but I'm having fun, So just the presence. So talk about what that meant, the fact that your father was he was at all the ones I was there. So I know he was at all the ones that he could make. So talk about that. How that made you feel?
Much like both you and Dr. Sapp, my parents are separate. Those, but my parents are separated. So for me, it was a little bit different because on my mom's side, I'm her only child. But on my dad's side, I got a bunch of siblings. And so for me, it was always this. because I'm big on family. I'm big on my family, taking care of my family, being around my family. Even if they drive me crazy and I want to drive them off a cliff sometimes, I still very much hold family.
Let me drop this here. Let me drop this. She's the oldest.
I am the oldest.
She's got 2 younger sisters and a little brother. Pawpaw's partner. That's his name. Pawpaw's partner. Go ahead.
Pawpaw's poison is what his name should be. Anyway, I digress. For me, him always being there meant that no matter what was happening, whose weekend it was, I was always going to see my sister. Because at the time, it was just me and my sister for a long while. Because there's like a 10-year gap between siblings. Mm-hmm. So for me, it was just me and my sister. And for me, my dad being there, while it was reassuring, like on the field, I was never a scared kid. Like I said, I played rugby, I played softball, I played very high contact sports. And in soccer, I was the goalie. So I was always getting hit and kicked and a lot of stuff. But for me, it was the best thing. Like I have so many pictures of my dad and my sister being on that field in halftime. And now my sister is on her way to a Princeton camp for soccer because of that. Wow. So for me, his presence being there didn't really help or hinder me, but it was it was reassuring that I'm always gonna see my family. Like no matter, like Papa said with his gambling problem, my dad don't have no gambling problem, but my mom and my dad don't always have the best relationship. They, they ex-lovers, they had issues. I don't know, and that's the thing that I can say with ease. I don't know what the issues are because they have never brought them to me. Whatever their issues have always stayed their issues. It's never been like, oh, your daddy is this or your mama is it. It's always just been like, okay, you going to your mom this weekend, be a good listener, don't give her no trouble, da 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 da. And they were very much that. So my dad being there for me was always like, I'm always going to see my family. And I'm always going to, I didn't understand the concept of what is quote unquote the normal family structure until I was in high school and we started studying that. Because for me, the normal family structure was just that, my family structure. I was like, this is normal. I go to my mom's one week. I go to my dad's one week. My mom's mom has a great relationship with my siblings. Every time my dad used to come and pick me up, my grandma would always come and say hi, talk to my sister, talk to my brother. And my dad was a big part of fostering that relationship because no matter what, every time he came to pick me up, he would always say, hello, Mrs. Dale, hello, Mr. Dale, always respectful, always cordial. So the same thing at the soccer games. Whenever my grandparents was there, he would always go over and say hi. There was never any tension. So for me, my dad being there was just like, oh, this is cool. But for me, it was always about my sister. Like seeing her run up and down on the field during halftime was like the best thing ever. I was like, yeah, no, that's mine. She's mine. That's my sister. That's those are my parents. That's me right there. Yeah. So that was like bragging rights for me because unfortunately, like we're talking about, there are so many fathers or mothers who are not there for sports. They don't think, oh, this is a Saturday thing. It's not that important. You don't know that. And it could be important to your child, even if they're not the best. And just being there and letting them be like, that's my father in the stands. That's someone who's here cheering for me. Wow. Even if they're the worst one and they'll never get off the bench. Just looking up in the stands and being like, they mine. That's me.
That's good.
It's again, reassurance. It's the thing I can always say about him. He's always reassuring. He's always there. Whenever I look up, sometimes I look up, I'm like, you still here? Dang. But every other time, I'm always like, he's still here. And that's the theme he's been through my whole life.
That's good. Reassurance, just having him there. And you also said something significant about how, whatever their issues were, they never put you in the middle. And that's key for parents to not do to children, because whatever your issues are don't have nothing to do with them. They want to love both of y'all. And so not put them in the middle. That's very key. Thank you, Princess. And so, Christian, I want to ask you, your father doesn't know any strangers. Your father doesn't know strangers. He's been in ministry your whole life, and he's been pastoring most of your life.
Right.
And so sharing him with the congregation when he was bishop in Full Gospel, and then the other people that he ministers to, and then, we could be out to dinner at a restaurant and he knows somebody needs something. He will do his best to minister to them. We feel it, But with all of that going on, having to, share him with the ministry and all those different things, how did he not lose daddiness? And how did that make you feel? Even though you shared him, even though he knew all these people, he never lost his daddiness. And so what did that say to you?
I would say, so no, he never lost his daddiness, but I'll tell you. So one thing, when I was graduating high school, and senior year is a big year for all of us,
Right.
You're doing a lot of stuff. There's a dance, there's a this, there's a that. And so I remember when I first got into 12th grade, I found out all the dates of all the things that I wanted to do. And when I was in 12th grade, my dad was kind of like at the height of like everything that was going on for him. He
Right.
was bishop in full gospel. He was this to this person. He was in Long Beach City. He was just doing everything. And I was just like, okay, I have to make sure that he is there for all these things. So personally, I called his secretary or administrative assistant, not secretary.
Right.
I called his administrative assistant and I said, okay, here are all the dates of all the important things that I need him to be at.
Good for you.
And she said, okay. And she put all those important dates in and he didn't miss anything. And so, and if he had to show up late or if he had to do anything, we communicated that. You know what I mean? And so one thing I do love about my family is that we are all big communicators. And people have always asked how are you guys so close? How are you guys so this? Because we communicate even when it's not good. You know what I mean? You still have to communicate something. And so I remember my brother being in high school and playing football, and my dad would have to go preach on a Friday night. And he would tell whoever it is he's going to go preach for, hey, I'm going to show up to preach. I ain't going to be there in the beginning, but I'm going to show up to preach. You know what I mean? So he could at least come and see the first half of my brother's game. Right. Or when my sister, my sister, she's going to kill me for this, but my sister, Brea, she wanted to go try out for volleyball. And we were all like, Brea's not going to make the volleyball team. Wasn't trying to put her down, but we just know Brea. Right. So he went out and he bought all this equipment because she said that she wanted to play volleyball. He's always just been full force for us. It's never been half stepping. He's never half stepped anything for us. Everything is full out. And we're always we're like, okay, it's just, he's like, no, I know if you're going to do, my little brother played football. He had the wristbands, he had the sleeve, he had the tights under it's just he went full out for everything. And so it was yes, ministry was important to him, but he always tells us and even tells people his biggest ministry is his family. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's his most important ministry. And so, yes, we do. Sometimes we are annoyed. We go out and we may get 5 people that are like, hey, especially on a Sunday after church, Bishop Urban, hey. And we're like, we just want to sit here and eat. But, it is what it is. And we've learned to accept it. And he one thing about him is that he starts getting the hints okay, it's time to calm down with the talking to everybody. He'll let people know, all right, I'm with my family right now. Let me do my thing, and I'll call me. You know what I'm saying? Just call me, but he always makes sure that we feel number one. That's one thing he does is he makes us feel like we are number one. And that's why we have so much respect for him, because no matter what, I tell people today, I know for sure, and I don't mean this in any way, or I do mean this anyway, but I know my dad will go to jail for me. You know what I mean? He will do hard time on behalf of his kids. Right. You know what I mean? So with that, you can have whatever you like, sir. You could do whoever you need to be to whoever you need to be. Because I know at the end of the day, I am important to you.
Right. And so the fact that he when you talk to the administrator and put it on there, your father might, have to take a red eye to go someplace at one time when he was doing a lot of things. But the fact that he's there, that you're saying that helped you realize that, okay, I know God's up here, but we're not behind the church.
No, not at all. Yeah. Not at all. We've always felt like, it was definitely God, but it was definitely us, right? Right after that. Right. And so, for that, you can't do nothing but respect him,
That's it. That's true. Now, I might get in trouble for this one, but you talked about the hints. I think I have an idea, but the hints of, okay, now it's time to calm down. If you guys are out and he's talking, who is it that would necessarily throw it? She could probably throw a hint without even saying a word, huh?
No, and honestly, it's funny because it's just people. It's crazy because it doesn't even have to be people that he knows. People are just attracted and drawn to him.
That's what I said. He don't know any strangers.
People are just drawn to him, and it's like, people will walk by and he'd be like, "Hey, how are you?" And they'd be like, "Oh, well, I am." And he's like, we're like, no. Like, that's not what we're doing here today. You know what I'm saying? But that's just who he is. People are just drawn to who he is. And so we know that.
Right. And so I was thinking that the person that would, throw the hints, because sometimes, I've seen her look at me a certain way and, I just said, I'm sorry for whatever it was. I'm talking about her mother. That's what I'm talking about. And so I might see her look at y'all a certain way and I start apologizing for y'all. And that's important. That's important that you feel important. And so I wanted to ask that because there are people who, and Dr. Sapp and Crystal, you probably know people who their fathers are busy people. And sometimes that can cause the child, the daughter, the son to feel like we're not as important as his meeting. We're not as important as the team he's coaching. We're not as important as. And so it's important that with all of that daddies still make, their children number one, like you said. Let me stop right quick. Let me do this commercial right quick. Talk About It is sponsored by my latest book, Encouragement for Tough Times. I call it encouragement, M-I-N-T, because I tell people sometimes you need a breath mint, sometimes you need an encouragement. One's for your mouth and the other's for your mind. The book would encourage you, help you as you go through tough times, as we all have. There's a section in here, a message in here called I Can't Sing, because as we get in trouble, the first thing that we'd start thinking about is what I can't do. And so that message to help you flip it. I can't sing. I sing to my wife and she likes it, not because it sounds good, because 39 years she's in love. She's still in love with me. I can't sing, but I can write. I can make people laugh. I can, and Dr. Sapp knows, I've been making people laugh for a long time and making people smile. But so I can do something else. And so the point is that you can't do one thing, but you can do something else. So other messages, lessons from a loss, and this book will encourage you, will help you. You can get your copy at Amazon.com. Just go to Amazon.com in the top right corner, put in Shigg. You won't get lost because there's only 3 authors on Amazon with the name Shigg, me, my brother, and my cousin. So you won't get lost.
That's great.
At Amazon.com. And if you have a book, a business service that you want people to talk about, you got a book, a business service, and you want the world to talk about it, give it to us, become a sponsor, and we will talk about it so they will know about it. I want to thank all of you who have been watching for joining us on Talk About It. We've been talking about fatherhood. If you missed last week, we talked to sons and about their fathers, and so you can check that out on YouTube. And I'm thankful for these ladies. I've got one last question for you. I don't want to hold you too long because I know you all are busy people. I'm going to start with Christian, and then go with Crystal, and then Dr. Sapp. What characteristic, and you may have hinted to it, but I want to get specific. What characteristic of your father do you admire and respect the most, and why? What characteristic of your father do you admire or respect the most, and why? And I know for you all, it may be difficult to choose one, so just give me one characteristic or trait of your father that you admire, you respect, and why. Miss Christian?
Ooh, characteristic. I would have to say, his. Ooh.
Just something about him, if that's too.
I would say, I would say his heart. I would say his heart, and that may not actually be a characteristic.
Right, I understand.
But it is. His heart is so big, and his heart is so loving, and his heart is so forgiving to people, even when they don't. No one not deserves to be forgiven. But
I understand what you're saying.
When I think people don't deserve to be forgiven,
because they what they do to somebody, huh?
I may think it, but he doesn't. But I think it's his heart. We always talk about it, especially my siblings. Like, we're kind of like his protectors. Right. Though he protects us, we protect him, because sometimes we can see people in their they have a little tactics to try to come and get close to him to see what they can get out of it. Right. But his heart is so big, and his heart is so open to people. He like you said, he knows no strangers. You know what I mean? Like, he just wants to love on everybody. Everybody comes to my house and says, hey, hey, I'm Christian's dad. I'm your dad. It's like, okay, like, that's just who he is. Right. So, he has a big heart, and I absolutely love that about him. One day maybe I'll have that too, but maybe. Maybe.
Okay. Yes. And that is true. Big heart for people, for ministry. And, matter of fact, I was talking to him yesterday, and it's just, he's giving me opportunity. He actually trusts me. Now, he's the pastor, and he's responsible for the congregation, but there are certain things that he trusts me with over the congregation, because if I mess up, God's going to get him. Because he's in charge. Right. But his heart, that's great. That's true. Princess, what is the characteristic or trait or something that you admire or respect the most about your father, my son, and why? See, that wasn't very professional. That was kind of ego. So y'all pray for my ego, how I just slid that in there, but just pray for me. Just pray for me. And why? But you still love me, Princess. I know you shaking your head, this old man, but you still love me. That's all that matters to me.
All right, I counted to 5 in my head to see if he was going to So I'm glad that Christian got to go first, because I was over here like, I'll go with patience. I think that's the one I'll go with. Because much like Christian talked about, me and my siblings are crazy. And I know my dad has had to have a lot, not had to, he still has. He has had to have a lot of patience with just me alone, because I am more stubborn than the sword and the rock in Camelot story. And he has somehow managed to be King Arthur and pull me up out that stone every time. And his patience when doing it. One of the things that I can particularly talk about, because it just happened not that long ago, is I'm in college. And because I am, as my mother says, a free spirit, which just means I don't stay focused on nothing for too long, I've changed my major 3 different times. They've all been in science and tech, but I haven't been able to figure out what I wanted to do. First, I was a computer science major. Then I was an engineering major. Now I'm a physics major. And throughout all of that time, when my mom was like, you crazy, and my grandparents was like, you never gonna graduate. Not these grandparents. No, I mean, not say Papa, because Papa didn't say that. And neither, I'm not saying those grandparents. My other grandparents was like, you're never gonna graduate. My dad has always been like, okay, so we're doing physics now? Okay, well, these are the classes you need to take to get that degree. This is what you need to do to transfer. This school is the top one. This one has scholarships. This one, no matter what I've said, and no matter how much I've changed it, he's always just been like, okay, let's figure out how to make this work. And much like Christian said, one day I hope I'll get there. Because I know I'm not, with my siblings. As much patience as my parents have shown me, you would think that I'd have more patience to give to my siblings. I don't. And I don't even try to lie and pretend like I do. But patience is the characteristic, because it has gotten me to the point where I am, and it's going to keep helping me get to the place that I'm trying to go.
That's good. That's good. That's good. I'm gonna have to pray for something because your mother, Christian, put in here. I heard that when I said what I said, so I might need some protection this weekend. No, we doing church virtually, so I'm gonna be all right.
Doing church virtually.
Yeah, even though she knows where we live, but anyway, that's another thing. So, Dr. Sapp, same question. Give me something characteristic, trait, or something about your father that you admire the most, and why?
Okay, I'm going to cheat. There's two words. The first one was optimism. Like old school, where there's a will, there's a way. My dad never let any circumstance, whether it was money or time, just get in his way. He always found a way to achieve his goals, and he did it with such grace and like a gentleman. I mean, he never raised his voice. I never heard him curse, that kind of thing. And it's just, I noticed that. I remembered that about him is optimism and just being like steady as she goes to get to his goal. But the word that also came up, I have to mention, is resilience. Because when things came at him, I mean, he was married and divorced 3 separate times. That's a lot. And each time I would ask him, it's like, Daddy, what's going on? What's happening? What's not working? And he would talk to me about it. And it was a really enlightening thing. And I had such compassion and love for him, as a man, and realizing that even though those setbacks happen, and they were big because it changes where you live, it changes how much money you make or bring home, that he still kept on and kept his integrity. So his resilience, that I have owned. And when things come at me, and they do, because we live on planet Earth, you just keep going. And I know I got that from my dad.
Oh, I love that. I love that. All of the things that you all have said have been things to not just celebrate and elevate your fathers, but fathers. There's a comment that someone put here, Larry Houston. I'm important to my family. Wow. Yes, you are. You are important to your family.
Yes.
Fathers are important. And sometimes, I remember one time, Christian, your father said, and when he first said it, I thought, what? He said, to be taken for granted is actually a compliment, meaning that they just have so much trust in you. They just know you're going to handle it.
You're going to show up, huh?
Right. And sometimes we may think that way about fathers. But we just know they're going to handle it. We just know, my mother and father were divorced, and I didn't know what child support was and alimony was. I just knew that on Friday, my father showed up. Either he showed up with some money or he showed up with a bunch of groceries. So I knew. And then when it's time for Easter back then, and when you got your Easter clothes, I ain't worried about it because my daddy was going to make sure we had it. So all of those things you just talked about, fathers being important. And fathers, you need to know that you are important. The circumstances, if you're married, great. The circumstances, if you're not together with the mother, that doesn't have anything to do with your fatherness to the child.
Exactly.
And these ladies have shown us how important it is, And so I want to thank you, ladies. I want to give you all the opportunity at the end of each show, if you have any closing thoughts, or there's if you have a business, a product, or something you want to support, want to promote, I'm going to give you the opportunity to do that. That and/or any last thoughts about our subject matter, Dr. Sapp.
Well, thank you again for having me on the show. I do feel honored to even be here. I do want everyone to know that I have a book I've been working on for quite a while. It's called All You Had to Do Was Ask, the Definitive Guide for Educating the African American Male.
Wow.
And it's final editing phase, and that should be out hopefully within the next 6 months, I'm hoping. Okay. I'm excited about it because it is there were interviews done with the African American males that said, this is what I need to be successful. And so this is coming straight from their mouths, and here's what I need, and here's how we can do it. Because the African American male population is actually one of the lowest subgroups in the United States of America, as well as the state of California. And wherever you are listening to this broadcast, I guarantee you it's low there too. And so that made me look into it and said, we've got to stop this. So I want to tell you about that book. It's coming out soon, and I'll make sure when it does come out that I talk to Dr. Shigg about that, and maybe come back on the show if you'll have me.
No problem. No problem at all. Well, thank you. Thank you. And Brother Larry Houston, thank you. He would let me know when he made that statement, he was doing a very good thing. He was actually saying that it's important that our daughters know that they're important to the family. So I misquoted him, but what he did really say was very important, because each of you all have said that based on different things, your fathers have let you know that you are important. You're special. You count. And that makes a difference when you're, like Princess said, no matter what everybody else said, what did my daddy say? And it's important. Thank you, Brother Larry. It's important that the young ladies know that they're important, because their fathers let them know that they're important, so that they don't have to go try and be important to other people and do different things, so that Pookie she will think she's important to Pookie. She thinks she's important to whoever. Because sometimes don't laugh at me, Princess. I'm an old dude. I use old school names. But you get the point, because she wants to be special to him. So she'll do things to be special to him. But her dad already told her she's special.
That's right.
You follow what I'm saying? So stop laughing at me, Princess. So that's so important that people know that and understand that. Miss Princess, nothing. So it was
sure.
I started with Dr. Sapp.
It was me.
Okay.
So I have a online store that I run with my sister. It's called Stop Taking My Stuff. It started off with, like I said, anyone who has siblings, especially if you have Christian probably knows this. I don't know if you're the oldest or the younger, but if you're the older, every time you get something, before you could get into it, they got all in it. I can't tell you the number of times I didn't had makeup taken or heels broken. So the idea of the store that we put together was, we came together and we came up with all the things she keeps taking from me and all the things that she feels like she should, she will want. Because she's 14, I'm 23, so of course everything I have is cool. And so we made a store so that siblings can stop taking their sister's stuff and they can just get their own. So it's called Stop Taking My Stuff. The link to it, I'm sure Dr. Shigg has it, so if he would like, he can disseminate it. Dr. Shigg.
Okay, go ahead. I'm messing with you.
Just like I don't.
Go ahead, Princess. I'm sorry, I'm messing with you.
That's that look. When you was talking earlier about the looks, and people, I thought you was talking about me.
Right.
I thought you was about to tell the your mama story.
Oh, okay. But that's good.
No one touched my pawpaw but me. No.
Right, exactly. Oh, yes. Can I tell that story?
You can tell it.
And then, Christian, we're going to go with you. When Princess was about 2, my mother lived in another state. And so she came to visit. And so Crystal didn't know who my mother was. And so we were at my stepfather's son's house. And I was sitting next to my mother, and she was putting her hand on my leg. Now, Crystal don't know who this woman is. 2 years old. She walked over to my mother, picked up her hand, moved it out the way, and said, "My pawpaw."
That's awesome.
And that had nothing to do with what we was talking about, but I love the story. She gave me permission to tell it. Christian, talk to the people. Is something you want to promote, or because I know you got different things going on. So if there's some final words or something you'd like to promote.
I would say final words more than anything is, if any fathers are, listening, just stay consistent with your kids, your daughters and sons. You hold a great, a high place in their life, and they will always need you. We never don't need our parents. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You can lose your parents at 65 and you will feel a great sadness because you feel like you still need your parent. So right. I say You know, we still need our parents. So still be there. Even when we rolling our eyes and acting like we don't hear you, we need you. Say it, and we'll tuck it away for later and pull it out when we need it, you know, but
Right.
just, you know, just be there, be consistent, you know, say those things that need to be said, because nobody else can do it like you.
Well said.
Lovely. Well said. Once again, I will be repetitive but not redundant, ladies. I want to continue to say thank you. My grandfather, they called him Mr. Ben Shigg. He would always say, people don't have to be nice. And so when they are, you ought to say thank you. So, Christian, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. Dr. Jackie,
you're so welcome.
Thank you so much. I thank you, Dr. Jackie, for taking out the time, because I know you're on grandma duty right now, and you took out the time to do this. And Princess, I know you just deal with finals, and you got other stuff going on, and you got a 14-year-old and an 8-year-old brother and sister there. And so thank you, Princess. I love you. I appreciate it. And so thank you so much for all of you. And so if you missed last week, we talked to adult sons about their father. So check that out. You can check it out on YouTube. You can check it out on my Facebook page, Your Encouragement. And hear what the lady said tonight. Their fathers made them feel special. Their fathers showed them that they counted. And so be that for your daughter, be that for your son, because daddies are important. There's an old school song by a group called the Winstons. And those of you that know me know I'm an old school dude. And it's called Color Him Father. I guess I'll color him father, I'll color him love. It epitomizes fathers and stepfathers, but fathers, even though he may not be biologically yours, but you're still father. And so continue to be fathers and fight for being in their life. And so things will go better, because as Christian very well said, they still need you. They still need you. So thank you so much. Go to Amazon, get a copy of the book, and watch the last broadcast. And I want to ask you to join us next week. We'll be here next Wednesday, next Tuesday. We'll be talking to some fathers on fatherhood. That's going to do it for us. I thank you so much. Fatherhood, Father's Day is coming up, and I'm glad you was with us tonight so that we can talk about it. You all stay encouraged. Be blessed.
Bye.